Hey guys, so I just got back, or about an hour ago, from seeing Fast and Furious 6. Uh, this is another franchise that a lot of people have said is going on way too long, just like The Hangover Part 3. Or, uh, a lot of people, just like Hangover Part 3, were saying that Fast and Furious 6 was a really unnecessary sequel. But I kind of disagree with that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Uh, and honestly, out of the two movies that came out this week, with Hangover Part 3 being the one and this movie being the other one, Fast and Furious 6 was the one I was looking forward to the most. Because honestly, out of the two franchises, I've enjoyed Fast and Furious a lot more than I've enjoyed Hangover series. And that's mainly because every time I see a Fast and Furious movie, I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun. I laugh at the stupidness of some of the stuff that happens in them. I have a blast. They're guilty pleasures. That's all they ever are. I don't know why people want to be so critical of them. Critics want to be so critical of them. I guess they got to be snobs. I guess they're just stupid fun, and they've always been that way. And they never really have tried to make it or become anything more than that. Uh, and especially after the last one, the fifth Fast Five, that was a freaking great movie. It actually decided to do what some people had recommended them to do, which was drop the drag racing and actually made an interesting heist movie. And it ended up being my opinion, the best of the franchise. Fast Five was. I thought it was just stunning, like how good that movie was. I was blown away. And after the fifth one, I was wanting another one. They even set up at the end of the fifth one the sixth movie. And because of that, I wanted to see this. I was really looking forward to them making a sequel. I never thought I'd ever say that. I was really wanting to make a sixth one. And even though I was hyped for this movie, I was also worried that they weren't going to be able to live up to the expectations that the fifth one set. Uh, and because of that, I was really kind of worried, but at the same time, I was really hoping. And the trailers looked great. I thought the trailers for this movie looked great. It made this movie look like it was going to be a lot of fun and a lot of over the top silliness. There was going to be a lot of over the top silliness that I expected for this franchise. Um, and and then the reviews started coming in, and they were just as good as the reviews for Fast Five, because Fast Five is the best reviewed film, I believe, or best reviewed film of the franchise so far. I'm pretty sure it still is. I think Fast Five and Fast and Furious 6 got about the same rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but uh, yeah, I was hyped, and honestly, this movie is freaking awesome. Uh, if you're a fan of this movie series, you know what you're getting into, and I and if you're not, this is not going to change your opinion, honestly. But this movie, honestly, even though I will be honest, I thought Fast Five was better. I still enjoyed this freaking movie a hell of a lot. Just like it, um, even though Fast Five I thought was better, this is very in close second. Um, as being, I think, the second best movie of the franchise. Uh, what worked about this movie? One of the things that worked the best about this movie is one of the best things about the fifth one, which was The Rock. Holy cow! And this guy has this guy brought a lot of new life into this franchise, in my opinion. I'm if you don't know, I'm a huge Rock fan. Dwayne Johnson, or whatever the hell you want to call him. I've been a wrestling fan and I've been a Rock fan for years. And to see him finally getting the recognition as an actor he is nowadays, because he's like in every freaking movie nowadays, and to see him bring life into this franchise, back into this franchise, is great. He's phenomenal in this movie, just as good as he was in the last one. His chemistry with like uh, Vin Diesel is great. The lines, the interaction between the two is great. Um, they get to work together in this movie, which is awesome. Instead of them fighting, well, the last one had them fighting, which was it had an awesome fight scene between Vin Diesel and The Rock. This one has them more working together, and it makes me want to see. And I'm hoping, haven't heard whether or not. I know they're making a seventh movie. I'm hoping that he signs on for the seventh movie. I haven't heard whether The Rock has signed on for the seventh movie. I don't think. It kind of hints at the end that he might not be back for the seventh movie, but I'm really hoping he does. I think it would be awesome to have him in the next one, because it does kind of this movie does kind of wrap up The Rock's story, honestly. But at the same time, I still want to see him in another one. I thought, the rest of them were great. I thought Vin Diesel and Paul Walker were good. They're not the greatest of actors, but I honestly like Vin Diesel a lot more. I think he has a little bit more charisma than Paul Walker has, but and he's a lot more likable in my opinion. But they know their strong points, and they're not the greatest of actors. But this is a movie series that you really don't care about the acting. Honestly, it's not. This movie's not going to win any awards for acting or anything like that anytime soon. Yeah, some of the acting, I'll admit some of the acting in this movie is not great, but it's pretty good. There's not a lot of terrible acting in this movie, but there's some that's a little questionable. Michelle Rodriguez returns, and I thought she was really good in this too. Of course, the story this time is that she is not, like, what was revealed at the end of the fifth movie was that she's not really dead, and basically she's a part of this group that is taking down military convoys, and The Rock's character basically hires Dom, Vin Diesel, and Paul Walker to help him out, try to get these convoys, or to get these guys that are taking down these convoys, and it basically does that by showing Dom the picture of that lady is still alive, and that's basically the story, honestly. And Lady at this point also, she's basically, if you're wondering why she shoots Vin Diesel like you see in the trailer, it's because she don't remember anything. That's interesting. She does a pretty good job. I mean, Michelle Rodriguez plays a tough badass girl pretty well, and I thought she did really well in this. The best thing about this freaking movie is the action set pieces. Holy shit, did they... you know what? With a seventh movie coming up, I don't know how they're going to be able to top this. I mean, I think they shot themselves in the foot with this, because I don't know if they're going to be able to top this. There is some really insane action set pieces. The car chase, when they're chasing the guys through London, is insane. The last two action set pieces, one with you see at the end with in the trailer with the plane, is really well done and really insane. And there's like so much going on and everything else, but the best action set piece, in my opinion, is the one with the tank. Basically, they're driving through Spain, while also chasing a tank, and this tank literally obliterates millions and millions of cars, just rolls over freaking millions and millions of cars of innocent civilian victims, and the damage that's done to the city or the country of Spain is ridiculous. And honestly, I was on the edge of my seat towards the end of that action set piece. It had me invested in what was going on. That's one of the things I like about this movie series too. Is even if it's ridiculous, and even if it's some of the acting is not great, I still give a shit about what's happening to these characters. I was invested in what was happening, and that should tell you something. You know, this series isn't that actually makes that this series that just relies on mostly silliness still makes you interested in what's going to happen and makes you invested in the characters. I think that's pretty cool. Uh, yeah, because they're like towards the end of uh, the battle of the tank, I'm just sitting there on the edge of my seat, wondering what the hell is going to happen here. It's ridiculous some of the stuff that happens in this movie. This movie also, this is a series that should be rated R for God's sake. Uh, there are some really people in this movie die very violent deaths. One guy gets thrown into a jet engine. A bunch of people get thrown off a plane while it's still moving. I don't want to see what the after effects of what they look like after. Uh, Millions and millions, like I said, civilians get rolled over in their cars by a tank. For God's sake, a tank rolls over like millions and millions of civilians in their cars. The death toll, I can't even imagine what the death toll in this movie is. Somebody has to look that up. I want to know what the death toll in this movie. It's ridiculous. Uh, this movie would be better if it was rated R because there's so many violent shit. If this was rated R, this would be like one of the most violent movies ever made. Because they have to hide away for the violence and not show it. But God, if this was rated R, it could have been even more awesome. And I know one of the reasons why they don't do that is because they want to make it PG-13, and because and if it's PG-13, more people will be able to see it because you have to be over 17 to go see a rated R movie. But the fact is that people forget is that people will find ways to go see a rated R movie. Look at The Hangover; it was a huge hit. It was the highest grossing film, R-rated film, and one of the highest grossing comedies in a long time. And that was rated R. People will find ways to see it, no matter what, even if they're under 17. Some will sneak into it. Some will just get their parents to go take them to go see it. They'll find a way to see it. I hate when Hollywood refuses to do rated R movies. But this movie, I'm not faulting it for not being rated R, but I think it would be awesome if it was rated R. Like I said, the action set pieces are freaking fantastic. That, like I said, also the plane one is great. I'm trying to think what other, but those are the three that stuck out. The chase for London, the tank one was the best one in my opinion, and the basically they chase a plane at the end of the movie too. Also, this movie ends. How this movie ends, I remember sitting there thinking, going, "How are they gonna make a seventh movie?" I mean, because there's a seventh movie gonna be in the works, but this, I remember sitting there going, towards the end of the movie, I'm like, they could just end the series right here, and it's perfect, fine, it works. It's kind of a happy ending. And then I kind of forgot something, one important thing, and that is the fact that these movies, even though this is the weirdest franchise of all time, because this is technically the fifth movie, not the sixth movie. Even though this is Fast and Furious 6, this is technically the fifth movie because this movie and 4, 5, and this movie all take place before Tokyo Drift, which was technically the third movie of the franchise. And so Tokyo Drift, has not happened yet. The Chinese, Japanese, or I don't know, I'm sorry if I offend people, but the Asian guy is in this movie in this movie dies in Tokyo Drift, so obviously it's obvious that these movies have took place before Tokyo Drift. And at the end of this movie, they kind of he finally sets in motion that he's going to go to Tokyo because he's hinted at it in the last 4 or 3 movies, and I forgot about that for a second. And as I was thinking to myself, how are they going to make a 7th movie? The end credits happen, and I recommend people stay because there's a scene at the end of the credits, not at the end of the credits, but during the credits, it happens, and it basically, I'm not going to spoil all of it, but it shows the events of Tokyo Drift where the Chinese guy, I'm not spoiling this because this is not really a spoiler because if you've seen Tokyo Drift, you know what happens, but it's the scene at the end of the credits. They basically showed a scene where Han, the Chinese Asian guy, gets killed in Tokyo Drift, and then what they decided to add though was the special part of it, which was basically they show who was in the car that killed him. If you watch the movie, there was a car that basically causes him to wreck and kill him. And they show who comes out of the car. And who comes out of the freaking car, I'm not going to reveal it, is the big reveal. I forgot. If you followed the casting decisions about the over the last few months for Fast and Furious 7, which I kind of did, but I forgot about them. But the person that comes out of the car in this made me go, fuck yeah! I yelled, I was like, I could not believe, I forgot who came out of that car, and I'm like, great, this is going to set up a 7th movie, and this 7th movie is going to be freaking awesome. I was like, I cannot freaking wait for the 7th movie, because I'm not going to reveal who walks out of the car, but I will just say this. This person is my favorite action star nowadays of this generation, in my opinion. He's, in my opinion, the best. And to see him now being a part of this franchise makes me excited for the future of this franchise. The fact that this guy is going to be the villain, they set up the villain, I'm like, oh, this is going to be sweet. It made me yell, fuck yeah! It's like, literally in the middle of the movie theater, I yelled that. I was like, and it made me so excited to see that happen. It made me really interested where this goes from here. It's obvious that if this is any hints that it will take place after Tokyo Drift now. But yeah, I really can't wait to see where they go from here after that. I really recommend this movie. One other thing I thought was weird that I kind of remembered was, I remember at the end of the credits at the 5th movie was that Eva Mendes' character shows back up at the end of the credits in the 5th movie and gives The Rock's character that information that Letty is still alive, which made me think that she was going to be involved in this movie. She's not. I don't know why. Maybe they weren't able to sign her back on, which is really weird, but they didn't apparently. And also, with the addition of the new edition that is revealed in the at the end of the credits of this movie, it made me think, man, oh man, if Rock is not involved, and this person's involved, this will be a great freaking movie. The next one is gonna be great, even if it doesn't have The Rock. But I'm still hoping if they get The Rock, it'd be awesome. I can't explain how excited I freaking am to see where this goes from here, especially with the new edition. Holy cow! I cannot. I'm sold. I think next year is when the next seventh movie's coming out. I'm sold. I don't care what the hell to plot. Even though I'm worried about whether or not or how they're going to be able to top the events of this one. The shit that happens in this movie is so insane, so over the top, and so silly. I think at this point they realize how stupid and silly these movies are, and they embrace it, and I love it. I think that's what made this the fifth one and this one the best out of the series, because they finally embraced the silliness of these movies. And honestly, the acting is not bad either. I think that's one of the things I forgot to mention, is that the acting is not bad either. I think these are, uh, you know, the acting. It's just that they're stuck in not so, it's just a silly movie franchise. Honestly, these actors are stuck in a silly movie franchise, but yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes from here. Honestly, I think this will be really. I think this will be a really. It's gonna get interesting from here. Um, Also, but the one thing that made me laugh the hardest was at the end of the movie, and during the credits before the the extra scene popped up. There was a warning, and this was in the last one too, where it said the stunts in this movie were performed by stunt cars and stunt drivers. Do not try any of this at home. These stunts are extremely dangerous. And I'm like, do these people really think we're that stupid to really try some of these stunts? I mean, for God's sakes, nobody's going to try to race a tank, for God's sake. I don't think anytime soon. I don't. Apparently the filmmakers of these movies think we're really that stupid to try some of this stupid stuff. I I guess. I mean, you have to be a complete moron to try some of these stunts. You deserve to die if you try this stupid stuff. Because honestly, oh, that was the other thing I forgot to mention, is that apparently, like this, it's kind of ludicrous. The series is kind of ludicrous because people wreck their cars in such really bad ways that you're like, these people could not survive in real life. These people are like superhuman. That's why I always thought it was funny about this series, is that these people are freaking superhuman. At one point, one of the main characters, actually, I'm not going to reveal who, but one of the characters ends up dying. And the way they died, I was like, well, I could almost expect that they would come back. They would come back and still be alive, but no, apparently they're dead. But even though they've wrecked their cars a million times in really horrific ways and still survive that, they can't survive this other situation, which makes me go, huh? I can't. I'm trying not to reveal it, but how they die or who dies. But well, if you're thinking it's like one of the main characters, it's one of the throwaway characters. Let's put it that way. It's one of the throwaway characters that dies in this movie that really I could give two shits about. But it's like I almost expected them to come back to come back with just a few scratches and that was it. No, they apparently died. So even though they've proven in like the past in the 2 hours that I watched this movie, they pretty much proven that they're superhuman. Half these guys are superhuman, and the fact that they just crash their cars in horrific ways and still have only a couple scratches on them, I never understood that. But definitely recommend this movie. This is a lot of fun. Again, this is nothing but silly action, nothing but a silly action movie, and I highly recommend, by the way, as I said, to stay during the credits and see that awesome extra scene that makes me I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one who's excited. I've already seen a couple of responses that are a couple of reviews that are really excited about to see where this goes from here because that end credit scene. I I wish I could spoil it, but I want to try to stay away from spoiling it. Um, yeah, this movie is just as good as the other films and just as good as the fifth one, but I still think the fifth one's better. Uh, it has its absurd moments. You know what you're getting into by now if you've seen these movies. So it's not, if you don't like these movies, you're not gonna. This is not gonna change your mind. If you love these movies for the exact same reason I do, you're gonna be just having a blast like I did. So I'm gonna get off here. I'll be back next week with Now You See Me, the new magician heist movie or whatever. I'll be back, then, and I'll see you guys later.